It started like any other evening. The house was filled with laughter, music, and the smell of roasted chicken drifting from the kitchen. My husband, Jake, had been planning this party for weeks, and as the clock struck 7, the first guests began to arrive. I greeted them with a smile, balancing a tray of appetizers while making small talk. The energy was light and cheerful, until a conversation later that evening shifted everything in a way I never saw coming. Jake and I had been married for 7 years. He worked in real estate and I ran an online craft store from home. We were settled, comfortable in our routines, but admittedly, life had grown a little predictable. Maybe that's why I noticed when someone new entered the house, someone I hadn't seen before at our previous gatherings. He was tall, had sharp features, and carried himself with quiet confidence. Jake came over to introduce him. "That's Evan," Jake said, nodding toward the stranger. "Old friend from college. Just moved back into town. Figured it'd be nice to have him join us tonight." I shook Evan's hand and offered him a drink. "Welcome. I'm Rachel. Glad you could make it." He smiled, something about the way his eyes studied me lingering longer than expected. "Thanks, Rachel. I've heard a lot about you." The evening continued as usual. Friends shared stories, someone brought out a guitar, and the backyard was buzzing with chatter and the soft glow of string lights. I checked in on Jake, who was deep in conversation with his coworkers. Meanwhile, Evan seemed to float around, always near the fringes of whatever group I was in, casually inserting a comment or joke. There was something about his presence, unassuming but intense, that made me notice him more than I intended to. Later, as the crowd thinned out, I found myself alone near the kitchen island, sipping wine. Evan approached again, this time with a plate of food and that same calm smile. "You throw a great party," he said, settling in next to me. "Thanks," I replied, smiling. "We try." There was a pause. Then he looked at me, not just glanced but looked, as if trying to read between my lines. "Jake's lucky," he said quietly. "You're the kind of woman a lot of people wish they could come home to." I chuckled nervously, unsure how to respond. "That's sweet of you to say." "No, I mean it," he said. "You're warm, kind, and real. It's rare. Some people have no idea what they've got." I looked at him, blinking, caught off guard. "Jake knows," I said carefully. "He's a good man." Evan nodded slowly. "I hope so. Because if he doesn't..." His voice trailed off, then he smiled again as if nothing had happened. "Anyway, the potato salad is amazing. Did you make it?" The shift was so sudden, it took me a second to reply. Yes, I did." He complimented the seasoning, then excused himself to get another drink. But my mind wasn't on the salad. It was reeling from what he'd just implied. For the rest of the night, I avoided being alone with Evan again. I busied myself with dishes, checked on the remaining guests, and tried to laugh like everything was normal. But his words echoed in my head. Was he flirting? Testing boundaries? Or was it just an innocent compliment taken too far? After the last guest left and the house grew quiet, I found Jake outside, putting away folding chairs. "You okay?" he asked, sensing something in my silence. "Yeah," I said, forcing a smile. "Just tired." I didn't tell him what Evan had said. I didn't know how to. I didn't even know what it meant. The next day, Jake mentioned that Evan had texted him, thanking him for the party. "He said you were really welcoming," Jake added. "Told me I was lucky." He's right. I felt my stomach twist. "Yeah. He said something like that to me too." Jake laughed. "He's always been the charming type." I didn't press it. I figured maybe it was a one-time thing and maybe I'd overthought it. But then, a week later, Evan messaged me on social media. Just a simple, "Great party last weekend. Would love to grab coffee sometime, just to get to know each other better." I stared at the message, unsure what to do. I showed it to my friend Madison, someone I trusted with everything. She read it, then raised her eyebrows. "That's not nothing, Rach. That's a guy who's stepping over a line. Should I tell Jake?" "Yes." Madison paused. Yes, but think about how this could get messy. I decided to wait. I didn't respond to Evan and I tried to move on. But it didn't stop. Few days later he messaged again. Then again. Each time polite, never vulgar. But each message felt like an inch closer to something he shouldn't be doing. Then came the night that changed everything. Jake and I were invited to another get-together, this time at Evan's place. I didn't want to go, but Jake insisted. He's been wanting to host for a while, he said. Let's just stop by. We arrived and were greeted warmly. Evan was charming as ever, never once acting out of line. But after a couple of drinks as the night wore on, Jake stepped away to take a phone call, and Evan found me near the patio. I meant what I said last time, he said quietly. I've been thinking about you. Stop, I said firmly, heart pounding. This isn't okay. He stepped back, hands raised. I'm sorry. I thought there was something there. There's not, I said. I love my husband. Jake returned before anything more could be said. I felt sick the entire drive home. That night I told Jake everything. Every message. Every comment. At first he didn't believe it. Evan. Seriously? Yes, I said, tears in my eyes. I didn't know how to bring it up earlier. I wasn't sure what it meant. But now I know. Jake was quiet for a long time. Then he picked up his phone, typed something and set it down. I told him to stay away from us. That he crossed a line. I'm sorry I brought him back into our lives. In the days that followed, I felt a strange mix of guilt and relief. I hadn't done anything wrong, but somehow Evan's words had created a rift in our peaceful life. But to my surprise, something unexpected happened. Jake became more attentive, more affectionate. He started noticing the little things again, bringing home flowers, asking about my day, holding me longer before bed. One night, as we sat watching a movie, he said, I didn't realize I'd gotten so comfortable. I stopped appreciating how lucky I am. I leaned into him, grateful that out of something unsettling, something stronger had grown between us. Evan never contacted us again. His absence was a quiet blessing, a reminder of a test we passed. Not just of trust, but of love. And though I'll never forget what he said that night at the party, it's what happened afterward that truly changed everything.